of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Corman? Ms. Palmer?
Here.
Mr. Person?
Here.
Mr. Prince?
Here.
Ms. Breyer? Mr. Zwicker?
Here.
Mr. Taylor?
Here.
Roll call, Mr. Mayor, 2 absent.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Zwicker.
I move that we excuse the absent council members.
It's been moved by Mr. Zwicker, seconded by Mr. Prince, so we excuse council members Corman and Breyer. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, moving on to the first item on our agenda tonight, is a special presentation from the police department.
Mayor Lau, Council President Pro Tem Don Persons, members of council, thank you for this opportunity this evening to recognize several members of the police department. Our employee recognition program is a bottom-up program where individual employees can recognize their peers for the award each quarter, and it's voted on by a committee consisting of their peers. It is not a top-down driven program, but strictly from the bottom up. Typically we have 4 employees of the quarter, but this last year we only had 3 employees of the quarter. And so the first employee I'm going to recognize today is Detective Steve Morris. You come forward, please. Detective Steve Morris was selected as Employee of the Quarter for the first quarter of 2012. He was selected in recognition for the outstanding job he does as a detective. He works his cases in a methodical and meticulous manner, which most often ends in the arrest or charges being filed. Detective Morris works well with his peers and has established professional relationships with detectives from other agencies. This has helped with the information sharing and case collaboration. Most recently, Detective Morris worked a series of fast food burglaries where he collected and passed on information involving several King and Pierce County cases. The work he did on these cases resulted in the Special Operations Division acting on the information and arresting 3 suspects in the commission of a burglary out in Maple Valley. Please join me in congratulating Detective Steve Morris.
We created. Don't blame me now.
If there are any friends or family members that want to come up in the front to take pictures, you're absolutely welcome to do that.
The next department member we're going to recognize is Officer Eric Stevens. Officer Eric Stevens was selected as Employee of the Quarter for the 4th quarter of 2012. He was selected based on a specific incident back in December. On December 2nd, 2012, at about 8:27 p.m., Officer Stevens responded to a verbal threats complaint in the 4400 block of Northeast 2nd. His investigation showed that the suspect was a bail bondsman who owned multiple firearms, including several assault rifles. The suspect had also posted on Facebook several photos of firearms lying on the front seat of a vehicle with statements threatening his wife's boyfriend. Attempts to contact him were negative, but Officer Stevens took the initiative and had OnStar ping his vehicle. The vehicle was located in a parking lot in the city of Kirkland in an apartment complex. Upon obtaining the information, Officer Stevens contacted the Kirkland Police Department and advised them of the facts and circumstances of the incident, including sending them a copy of his police report. The Kirkland Police Department secured the vehicle as well as several handguns and 1 assault rifle inside. Officer Stevens demonstrated a high level of diligence when dispatched to this call. He took the initiative to contact OnStar and coordinate with the Kirkland Police Department. And Officer Stevens displayed dedication by conducting a very thorough investigation, and his actions led to a successful and positive ending to this incident. Please join me in recognizing Officer Eric Stevens. The last employee we're going to recognize this evening is Administrative Assistant Melissa Day. Melissa Day was selected as Employee of the Quarter for the third quarter of 2012 and was selected by the committee as our Employee of the Year. Melissa has selected because she has been instrumental in the success of our timekeeping system called Telestaff. She possesses strong organizational skills, and whenever she is asked for a document or information, she is able to provide it in a timely and professional manner. When employees inquire about personnel issues such as FMLA, L&I, forms, policies, etc., Melissa is able to either answer the question or point them to the correct person or place to get the information as needed. She also keeps track of a multitude of information, including personnel files, contracts, and agreements. She always has a pleasant, professional disposition, not only in her contacts with the department, but also with other city departments and the public. Melissa is a pleasure to work with and is always willing to drop whatever she is doing to try to help others when they ask. She is consistently looking for ways to improve everything she is involved with, to improve the process or how issues are communicated. She has been able to maintain this confidentiality in her position and dealings with both the public and department members. Please join me in recognizing Melissa Day.
Melissa, you've got to do a 20-minute speech now.
Yeah.
Get everybody up?
Sure.
So members of the family, if you want to take pictures, we'll have everybody come up in front of the council. See if we can thoroughly embarrass the recipient.
Back up a little bit towards the council there.
Back. Come on, you gotta get close to us.
Usually don't tell a bunch of people you don't know what to do.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay.
Go ahead.
Come on.
Gideon.
Very nice. Family, anybody?
I just wanna get-
Right here, yep. Yep, right there.
1, 2, 3. You got a couple more just to make sure these come out, right?
Oh, here comes one more.
Perfect.
Feel free to stand right next. It's a really good spot, right about here, I tell you. There it is, right there.
Thanks again for the opportunity.
Thank you, Chief, and congratulations to all of our officers. Okay, we're moving on to administrative report. Mr. Covington?
Mr. Mayor, just have one item I wanted to mention. We had some comments last week during audience comments, some concern expressed about the upcoming open house by King County Library Systems, particularly the size of the venue. And so we've checked with the library system. Their intention is to hold that open house March 26th at 6:30 p.m. and they'll use the entire Cedar River Library. That was not their intention, just to use the conference room. So I'm not sure all the overall format, but they'll open up the entire building and have various stations and other things, would be my guess. So for folks who are concerned there might not be enough room, I think they're anticipating being able to open up the library so they can accommodate a pretty large crowd. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Next is audience comment. We have a few people signed up to address the council. When I give your name, please come to the podium, give your name and city of residence for the record, and you have 5 minutes. Paul Ouellette.
Hi, my name is Paul Ouellette. I live in Rolling Hills in Renton. Just a quick question, if I might address the council members, or specifically maybe Councilman Taylor. At the last meeting, there was mention that on the smart meters that you would have a discussion at the committee of the whole. Can you tell me if it's been put on the agenda and when it's going to be?
Okay, the city clerk can answer that, and I don't know, has the date been set?
I think, Mr. Mayor, we're tentatively planning that for March 18th is when we hope to be able to present that at the committee of the whole meeting. So that'd be probably a 6 p.m. time on Monday, the 18th of March.
So, Mr. Olet, if we have your, and I think we do have your address, well, I'm not sure that we do. Make sure the clerk has your address, and we'll make sure you're notified of that meeting.
Okay, thank you.
And we will also announce that publicly at least a week in advance.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. Jeannie Keys? Keyes. Oh, I did that last time.
I was wondering if you remember that. I wrote a letter to KCLS today, and I would just like to use that as my template for this evening and just read it if I might. Okay. Obviously, it's about the library. I guess you guys remember that, but I should say so. I'm also, K-E-Y-E-S, Keyes, Jeannie. And I'm not only a Renton resident, I'm a business owner in Renton also. I wrote to the Board of Trustees at KCLS, and I said, just a note to let you know, we, the residents of Renton, do not want you to tear down our library and build a smaller one. Paren. I personally don't want you to tear it down at all, just renovate it, close paren. We want you to keep the 22K plus square feet we already have. We do not want the entrance moved in any case at all. We want the entrance where it is now. Seems like those who voted for the annexation to KCLS thought we would have expanded services and access to more books, etc. And now we find out that not only do you want to reduce our facility, but you threw an entire dumpster load or two of our books and periodicals into the garbage. Not sold them or donated them or gave them to people who may have wanted them, but tossed them into the garbage dump. I find this arrogant, thoughtless, and unconscionable. What a waste of precious books and irreplaceable periodicals. A really good idea might be to actually listen to those of us who live in Renton and are most likely to use the facility. Ask us what we want. We are the ones who will have to pay the bill. How about using our ideas instead of imposing yours on us? I'm pretty sure that our city council, pardon me, I'm going to say this, I'm pretty sure that our city council has the balls to stand up to you and say, no, this is still a library in Renton, and we do represent the people of Renton, and you do have to go through us to get any plans you have for our library approved. We are public servants, and we take our citizens' views seriously as our indicator of how we should proceed. With public funds so strained right now, I don't see how anyone can even consider spending money on a new building of any kind. How about putting a few more police officers on, or firefighters, or at least pay these servants what they need to live and thrive? I can only hope that you at KCLS will begin to hear what is being said by those of us who have taken the time out of our busy days to express our thoughts for the proponents, many of which cannot afford to take the time out of their overcrowded work days to repeat over and over what we all want to a blank wall, close paren, of our beloved library on the river. If the county cannot understand, perhaps we just need to take our library back. With hopeful anticipation of your acquiescence to the wishes of the people of Renton, Jeannie Keyes, owner of the Venus Moon, Renton, Washington. I appreciate you guys listening to me. I know you guys must get bored silly listening to all the same stuff over and over, but I guess we have no other way of expressing our views. And I know that there are, quite a number of us that have sought to take that time out to represent people who believe the same way we do. And I appreciate your attention. I really do. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Taylor.
Yes, Ms. Keyes, I really appreciate your input, and it's very meaningful to me, I could say that. On a lighter note, I just would like to just say that, some of us here on the council are, from an anatomy standpoint, are just not able to have what you mentioned, courage and spunk like you. Absolutely, and I know we've got that here right now with our females here on the council.
Well, I tell you what, there are a lot of us girls out there that have grown a set.
Next is Nick Samargas?
Nick Samarges. I live in
Samarges.
Renton. I shall be very, very brief, and I hope you listened very, very closely. I did not attend the retreat at Merrill Gardens. I could not attend. And as a consequence, I have 3 questions. Are there any new construction proposals forthcoming, in addition to the one we've already seen? Is there the probability we can work with KCLS in a more open fashion? And finally, can we postpone the end of the month presentation so we can possibly look at more proposals?
I can answer 2 of your questions. One about the open fashion of communication with KCLS and the open house. You need to have that open conversation with KCLS because it's their open house and the communications is between them. The first question in regards to new plans, we don't have any design plans that have been presented to us yet. Mr. Covington, is there anything else?
That's correct. What the council received at their workshop was the same information that the public had received a couple of weeks prior at your February meeting. So there was no new information given. We just wanted to make sure the council received the same information the public had received.
And they have received our feedback?
Yes, they receive all of your feedback.
Okay, thank you.
You bet, thank you. Next is Beth Asher.
Hi, Beth Asher from Renton, Washington, and I just wanted to make some comments on size tonight. There are a lot of populations, a lot of cities that are smaller, that have quite a bit more library. The population of Renton is over 92,000. We're still growing. Our proposed downtown library is 16,000 square feet. 2008, KCLS renovated Covington Library by 7,700 square feet for a 21,000 square foot facility. Population of Covington, 17,575 at the last census, with proximity to libraries in Kent, East Hill of Kent, Renton, and Fairwood. In 2009, Kirkland got an expansion to a 19,500 square foot library. Population of Kirkland, 48,787. Proximity to Bellevue with one of the largest KCLS libraries in the system, currently undergoing a remodel, and Redmond. In 2009, Burien got a 32,000 square foot library. Population of Burien is approximately 42,000 with proximity to 7 other KCLS libraries: Foster, Tukwila, Skyway, Valley View, White Center, Boulevard Park, and South Center. In 2010, Sammamish got a 19,500 square foot library. Population of Sammamish, 45,780. Proximity to Lake Hills, Crossroads, Bellevue, Redmond, Carnation, and Falls City libraries. In 2010, Federal Way Library was renovated and expanded by 9,500 square feet for a total of 34,500 square feet. Population there really closely approximates ours, but still doesn't make it, 89,306. And note that these bigger libraries will have more square feet than Renton's total square footage under our current proposals. And they are still smaller municipalities. That particular municipality, Federal Way, has proximity to its own second library, East Hill, Kent, Auburn, and Woodmont. In 2012, Auburn Library remodeled and added 5,000 square feet. Population there, 70,180. Proximity to Algona, Federal Way, East Hill, Kent, and Covington. So I would just like to say that KCLS's rationale of our proximity to other libraries doesn't make sense when you look at remodeling and the building they've done in smaller municipalities, which have proximity to as many as or more libraries than we do. So just one basic point that I wanted to make, I consider that argument of theirs a complete fallacy and kind of a non-starter in this process. And we do appreciate you listening to us. Again, we are not for jackhammering our library to the deck and starting over and footing the bill for that. And please take into consideration that a lot of KCLS's rationales are like this one, extremely slanted and don't seem to hold up when you do the research. Thank you.
Next is Richard Bray.
Hello, my name is Richard Bray. I live here in Renton. Good evening again, Mayor Law, council members, city staff, and those of you who are watching on TV. I'm here to talk about saving our downtown, one-of-a-kind Cedar River Library. As you know, Mr. Mayor and council members, your own Renton city officials announced the KCS pre-application plan, and that conceptual plan shows that our library entrance over the Cedar River is gone. And our community library space is reduced by 30%. KCLS has gone against the wishes of 76% of our voters and all the comments made at public meetings about our library. At these meetings, people said, don't take away our magnificent library over the water, and don't shrink our spacious library. In a KOMO article just a few days ago, a KCLS official admitted that it's a real possibility that the entrance of our library will be eliminated and our beloved building made smaller. Now, people across the Pacific Northwest are hearing about this great injustice to Renton citizens. Cairo 97.3 FM News Radio on Saturday reported a number of times about the KCLS plans to go against residents' wishes to preserve and enhance our icon library. Council members, I ask you to please answer individually. Are you going to wash your hands? Or will you stand up to KCLS and fight for 76% of voters and people who in the public comments said, please keep our library? So I'd like your feedback, please.
Well, you're not going to get it tonight. You're welcome to correspond with individual council members one-on-one if you'd like.
Okay.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Next is Howard McComber.
Howard McComber. I live in the Renton Highlands. I've sent out a letter, and I believe everyone's received it. We had a very wonderful comprehensive plan meeting last Thursday. It was very well done, with food and everything else. Chip does a great job. The whole thing was lovely. It was just good.
We told him that's your soft spot.
That's right. So we did that. We have a very good Highlands. It's going very well. I appreciate all the support that everybody's had in upgrading the Highlands. That's super. The Highlands remains the best kept secret in the Puget Sound. It is, as far as I can tell, the best housing that's affordable, period. There isn't any better housing that's affordable in the area. What we're concerned about is growing more affordable, owner-occupied, affordable housing. And that is a really great challenge. It can be done, but it's going to take support. It's going to take cooperation with the city. Now, up north, there's an organization called ARCH, which I'm sure you're familiar with, and they contribute an awful lot of money to the private sector to help build houses. We're not asking for any cash. I sat on the budget committee. We don't have any extra cash. But without cash, if we use creativity, if we can work on waiving fees, which all the northern outfits waive, if we can work together on the things to make it possible, I believe that there are enough private parties who can give us some increase in brand new affordable housing for people who don't make the median income. And so I'd like to ask for help and for support, and maybe overworked as Rich is, to have a chance to sit maybe with the planning committee or whoever else and go through some ideas and work out something. We have a beautiful, diverse, wonderful area. A lot of the guys have Arctic blonde hair like mine. We have all sorts of ethnic groups, racial groups, religious groups. Fantastic. It's just a microcosm. It's wonderful. But an awful lot of the folks there are economically challenged. But they're wonderful, loyal Renton citizens who volunteer and who work hard. And you see them because all you guys volunteer like crazy. So you know what we're talking about. And a couple of them won the Citizen of the Year award last year who live close to me. This is just a wonderful area, and we need to grow it. And what I'm looking for is to have an offset. We're going to have some wonderful new housing. It's already lining up. We're getting it where the Sunset Terrace now is. That's going to be super. We're going to have more big stuff, but we need small homes too. We need that. And to be honest with you, I'm going to say it right out loud, I'm not in love with those duplexes. What I'm in love with is the affordability that they give. They're cheap rental, and there's no other place. If the people lose that home, they're one of those you count on that early morning count. So what we're talking about is working out with a very creative group on a method which won't cost cash out of the city budget, which it can't afford, some way that we can increase the number of new housing units in our target area, which is the Center Village area. So I'd like to go through, I've got some people who I've actually talked into investing money in this, and they're standing by ready to move if we can work the rest of it. So I'm just asking for help and cooperation and your time, and see if we can put something together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Howard.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Mr. Zwicker.
Howard, while we still got you up here, I just thank you for the letter and thank you for the large print that you used, because I can read this without my glasses. I briefly had the opportunity to discuss this with the administration and our thoughts, and I just look for a nod from Mr. Covington, as I think I was going to make a referral into Committee of the Whole. And Chip, you agree that that's still the place to go with this? Yeah, so with that, I would like to refer the letter we received from Mr. McCumber, special request for city support and partnering to improve the Sunset area of the Highlands to the Committee of the Whole.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Zwicker, seconded by Mr. Person, that the topic of Howard's correspondence be referred to Committee of the Whole. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
And Bonnie, I just emailed you the email version so we know which letter we're talking about.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
I really
Howard.
appreciate it.
Hey, Howard, I know we're a little bit on a different plane, or at least a position, but I receive constant positive feedback on your ability to work with people to try and figure out a happy ground that works for everybody. So we appreciate the process anyway.
Well, I'll give my 2 bits here. I don't think there's a city that has either of 2 things: more passionate citizenry or a more cooperative group. And I think that's fantastic. I'm going to say it right out loud. I remember when we looked like to the outsiders that we were going to have a tremendous impasse and lawsuits and all kinds of stuff about the library. You guys worked out a solution that worked beautifully. It went to the polls. It came there. Now, one other thing is, and I think this is just a little point, some people think King County Library System is King County. It's not King County. It's King County Library System. It's a different total entity. We're not talking to the county. A lot of people think, oh, the county's dictating to Renton. It's not. It's a different whole thing. So a lot of times you'll say, these guys need to do, well, these guys are talking like they're dealing with Sears and Roebuck. I mean, it's a different entity, and it's not King County, and it's not intergovernmental. It's a different thing. We can do it, and you're doing a wonderful job, and you're passing the information on, and I believe that you're going to succeed because you guys are great negotiators. And I'm out of here because I can see my clock.
That's okay. We used up some of your time, so you're no problem.
Okay. Thank you. Anyway, I have great confidence that number 1 on all these things, of course, my Highlands is my number 1, but I think everything else is going to work out. I think we're going to have the most fantastic library over the river in the world, and you guys are all should be credited for it. I think it's good.
Thank you, Howard.
Thank you.
Okay, council, moving on to the consent agenda. We have 9 items for council consideration. Is there anything a council member would like pulled for discussion?
Seeing none, Mr. Mayor, I move the consent agenda be adopted as presented.
Second?
It's been moved by Mr. Person, seconded by Mr. Zwicker, that council concur with the consent agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Going on to unfinished business, Ms. Palmer.
Yes, I have that ProFlight committee report tonight.
Transportation Aviation Committee Report, Operating Permit and Agreement with ProFlight Aviation Incorporated. The Transportation Aviation Committee recommends concurrence in the staff recommendation to approve an operating permit and agreement with ProFlight Aviation Incorporated for their airport sublease from Renton Gateway Center LLC. The committee further recommends that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to sign the permit and agreement. This is signed by the committee chair and vice chair.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Ms. Palmer.
I move the council concur with the committee report.
Second.
It's been moved by Ms. Palmer, seconded by Mr. Taylor, that council concur with the Transportation Committee report. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
And that's it.
Thank you. Mr. Person.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I have 2 Finance Committee reports for Ms. Breyer.
Finance Committee Report, Approval of Claims and Payroll Vouchers. The Finance Committee approves for payment on March 4th, 2013, claim vouchers 319047 through 319321, 5 wire transfers, and 1 payroll run with benefit withholding payments totaling $5,100,760, and payroll vouchers include 1,062 direct deposits and 53 payroll checks totaling $2,123,777.89. This is signed by the 3 committee members.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Person.
I move the council concur with the recommendation of the Finance Committee.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Person, seconded by Ms. Palmer, that council concur with the Finance Committee report. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Finance Committee Report, Addendum Number 1 to Public Defense Services Contract. The Finance Committee recommends concurrence in the staff recommendation to approve Addendum Number 1 to the Public Defense Services Contract with Casey and Grove LLC in the amount of $450,000 to extend the contract term for 1 year until December 31, 2013, with an option to extend for an additional year. The committee further recommends that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to sign the addendum. This is signed by the 3 committee members.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Person.
I move the council concur with the committee report.
Second?
Been moved by Mr. Person, seconded by Mr. Zwicker, that council concur with the Finance Committee report. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you, Mr. Person. Mr. Prince.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Mr. Zwicker.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Taylor.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. Moving on to resolutions and ordinances, we have 1 resolution this evening.
Okay. The resolution regards a donated vehicle. A resolution of the City of Renton, Washington, authorizing the mayor and city clerk to enter into an interlocal agreement with the Kent Fire Department Regional Fire Authority entitled Interlocal Agreement Regarding Donation of a 1997 Isuzu Hackney Vehicle.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Person.
I move we concur with the resolution as read.
Second.
Been moved by Mr. Person, seconded by Mr. Zwicker, that council adopt the resolution as read. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Moving on to new business, Ms. Palmer.
No new business.
Really?
Yeah.
Mr. Person.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, for Councilman Breyer again, Monday, March 11th, from 6:30 to 7 p.m., the Committee of the Whole will meet, oh, that's for Corman. Got to do for Randy Corman. We'll meet in the council chambers for the presentation by the WashDOT on the I-405 project presentation. And then for Councilman Breyer, from 6 p.m. to 6:30 p.m., the Finance Committee will meet in the council conference room. Reach, crop, walk, fee waiver. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Prince.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. The Utilities Committee scheduled for March 11th has been canceled.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Zwicker.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I don't have any meetings to announce, but I do have 2 items I'd like to ask the council to assist me in referring. The first, I'd like to refer to the Planning and Development Committee, the topic of the city center plan priorities.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Zwicker, seconded by Mr. Prince, that the topic of city center plan priorities be referred to the Planning and Development Committee.
Correct.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
And the second item, also referral to the Planning and Development Committee, I move that we move the topic of two-way, one-way streets in downtown Renton.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Zwicker and seconded by Mr. Prince that the topic of two-ways and one-way streets, is that correct?
Correct.
Be referred to the Planning and Development Committee. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
That is all, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Taylor?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to announce our next community services meeting that will take place on Monday, March the 11th, from 5 to 6 p.m. We have 5 items on the agenda. Item 1, the Muni Arts Commission appointments. Item 2, Lighting Art Project briefing. Item 3, the RMAC Amendment Ordinance regarding Planning Commission members. Item 4, Beardsley appointments to Renton Airport Advisory Committee. And item 5, Johnson appointments to Planning Commission. And in addition to that, I'd like to just, and that is all for the community services meeting on Monday the 11th. But I wanted to also just make an announcement for those who were unaware that March is National Women's History Month. And the theme for, I did a little checking on this, and the theme for March 2013 is Women Inspiring Innovation Through Imagination. Celebrating women in service, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And the 2013 National Women's History Month theme honors generations of women who throughout American history have used their intelligence, imagination, sense of wonder, and tenacity to make extraordinary contributions to the STEM fields. Anyone who's interested in finding out a little bit more about that, you can visit the National Women's History Project at nwhp.org. That is all, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Taylor. Okay, final audience comment for anybody who hasn't had a chance to address the council. So it's
Mr. Mayor, I believe the referral was announced as the REMAC Amendment Ordinance regarding Planning Commission members, and I believe it's supposed to be Arts Commission members,
okay, oh, I see, you're right.
or the Community Services
you're
Committee
right.
this week.
So I'll make that amendment to the Community Services.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bonnie.
Hi, Phyllis Forrester, Renton, Washington. I understand that at your Friday meeting, you had an agenda item that KCLI made a presentation to the council. And considering the mandate that a large number of voters passed on regarding the library, it seems to me like it should have been a noted agenda item and should not have been, if it was considered miscellaneous or update, we should have known, because that was a public meeting and we could have been there. So I do request that agenda items, I think in the past you have listed the full agenda. The gentleman here, your last name please? McComber. He said that KCLS is not part of King County. It is not. King County is very careful to say that very clearly over and over and over. So what you need to know is that KCLS is under the auspices and governance of our state legislature. And so you do need to contact your state legislator in order to make your views about KCLS management or decisions. That's where you need to go. You can go to the RCWs for public library and it'll tell you what they're supposed to be doing. Thank you.
Hello, Dana Roche, Renton residents, ROCHEX. And sorry I didn't sign up earlier, I was running a little late with the kids. Inspired by some of the comments that were made by the council members last week, I did some research on the development of recent library projects. One common element from the planning model behind them was that the community, one common element of the planning model behind them, the community was looking for more than a library, they wanted a civic center. With a role of community planning board, I realized that we had something in common with these projects. We are currently lacking a civic center. We are all quite aware our downtown is struggling despite the heroic efforts made by this council and city officials. We are functionally and geographically poised to be a powerhouse in our region, yet we are still remain a bit of a joke to those who live in Seattle and Bellevue. I constantly find myself selling the attributes of Renton to others not from here. Our civic center was parceled out, City Hall and the jail moved away, and the library was left as a last holdout to our beloved civic center. Now that's being threatened. The redevelopment plans being proposed by KCLS treat our civic library as just another suburb satellite library. If you look at Seattle, Bellevue, or the library that was recently designed by Miller Hull down in Vancouver, Washington, they all look to the future library as being more than just a place to pick up and drop off books. They've become full-functioning civic centers with multiple meeting rooms, study rooms, computer labs, teenage lounges, coffee houses, art exhibits, early learning centers, a place where everyone is welcome to come together, and it's a place that our people are crying out for. We don't have this. Let's stop relying on what KCLS thinks Renton should have and what its needs are, and tell them what we want our civic center to be. And you know, you look at like this Vancouver library, they put 83,000 square feet, 5 floors. It's this amazing project that was done by the architects that KCLS hired. That was one great thing they did. But you know, the children's area for that library is 12,000 square feet. We should be really pumping this off, not making this a little espresso stand to kind of drive through and drop off your books and run out. And I just appreciate everyone's time and letting me come up here and speak about it again. So, thank you.
Yeah. My name's David Keys, citizen of Renton. I wasn't going to speak tonight, but two things came up during your business. One, I really want to thank you for the response that you gave collectively to Mr. McComber. I think that was very positive, and it's good to see, good to hear. The other thing is, Mr. Covington, you made a specific misstatement when you were responding to Mr. Samarga's questions, and I wanted to correct you on that because I think people need to understand something you said isn't true. And perhaps you were going partly on the information or the opinions expressed at your council retreat by one of the council members. The drawings, the information that all of the city's citizens that were responding to that last Tuesday night meeting on the library, what we're responding to was not the presentation that each of you saw on Thursday morning at your retreat, and I know I was there. What we were responding to was information that is at least 2 months newer. It is the information that was submitted to the city in preparation for the pre-application conference by KCLS. And those included a plan of the building that is a scaled, fairly developed plan. It's part of the landscape sheet that was submitted, and they used the architectural background. So our comments on reducing the library, moving the entrance, and all of those issues were based not on the soft diagrammatic bubble diagrams you saw. They were based on much harder development of this design by Miller Hull in the interim. And by the way, on that presentation you saw, just in case it's important to you, on the cover page that was on the screen, it noted that the date of that presentation to the KCLS trustees, was December 12th. And back in that time frame, we were being told that KCLS didn't have any new information to provide us. But in any case, I wanted to let you know that is not the kind of information we were basing our comments on.
Mr. Mayor, thanks, Mr. Keys. the council did receive the diagrams that were submitted as part of the pre-application. It was in a packet that they had, but KCLS gave the presentation, as you mentioned, on the, call them bubble diagrams, just so we're both talking the same language. As to the December 12th date, I don't recall exactly. I don't believe we had our public meeting in December. It ended up being, I think, the third. Usually we did them on the third Tuesday, and I believe we ended up not doing it for the December month, and so I think then we had the information the following month. So there may have been some time lag there.
We didn't see that set of slides she gave to you on Thursday morning, literally until we'd already given our comments to Chip and Peter Renner 2 weeks ago now on Tuesday night. You're correct, there was not a meeting in December. And partly, certainly, that was because of the holiday. But we were also told that since KCLS was still working on the engineering, the architects really hadn't gotten going yet. That's not all that important, but I wanted to make sure you understand that when we're coming to you with comments and information, we are basing that on the best information we have been able to derive from KCLS. Thank you.
Thank you. Just one more thing, Mr. Mayor, I'll just say, I think it was presented to us Friday as well, and for the general public, normally, I think Mr. Keys would probably agree with this, when you have a project, you generally start with some conceptual design. The architects get to sort of design the building, and then you work on the engineering. In this case, because of the complexities involved with trying to work with an existing building, we're kind of reversing that process where we're actually doing the engineering drawings first, and then we're finally getting around to, later this month, the actual design of the building based on the parameters that they're having to work around. And I think that's created some just out of cycle kind of normal, the normal way you would normally look at a building and review that. And I think that's been a little frustrating for everybody too, as we're dealing with the engineering facts and there has to be some assumptions made before we even get to see what the actual building would look like based on that. So hopefully we'll get to see all that in the next couple of weeks.
Thank you, Mr. Covington.
Hi, my name is Audrey Adams. I'm a Renton resident. And, oh, lucky you, I'm sparing you my fluoride stuff today. I want you to know I actually think about something other than fluoride once in a while. I just couldn't help but speak instead to something one of the women, and I'm sorry I forgot your name, spoke to today about the library and giving all of the facts and figures. Thank you so much. I love it when people just lay it out in numbers. About the size of libraries and comparing the other cities, etc. And the thought struck me as I'm sitting back there all ready to talk about my fluoride thing, that wait a minute, this is like deja vu, because I remember, and I've lived in the same house since 1979, a long, long time, and I remember when my kids entered school, coming to the realization that other people thought that Renton schools weren't as good. Thinking, is that true? Well, as time went by, actually not very much time, I'm realizing, because we're up there on Benson Hill Elementary, and that is absolutely a stellar elementary school. It sure wasn't true with the elementary system, Benson Hill Elementary for sure. And you know what? It wasn't true that our middle schools were in trouble either. We went to Nelson, fabulous school. And I'm thinking, well, the surrounding thought is that Renton School District was less, not as good. They were dead wrong. They were absolutely wrong. And then I got to thinking, is there kind of like a discrimination of sorts going on with this 405 interchange business? Because you drive up north and you see these wonderful roads and you think, well, excuse me, we've been living with this absolutely insane intersection between 405 and I-167 for years, only in Renton. It felt like they're kind of treating us as lesser city. I mean, that's what it felt like for years and years and years. And finally they put in an intersection, but gee, that was so late compared to our friends up north. And it just hit me when she was giving me all the numbers about the square footage of other libraries. I'm thinking, is there possibly, and I might be totally off base here, but is there somebody thinking that we don't deserve a library like the other cities? I don't know. That's just my I don't know, but it just struck me, so I thought I'd better bring that up. And you might think about that too, because you love the cities as much as I do. I have one question, and that's regarding the smart meters. It's a stupid, naive question. If I live in the Suze Creek Water and Sewer District, does what Renton, City of Renton is doing with the smart sensors have anything to do with me?
Shouldn't.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Hi there, my name is Larry Brosman. I'm a Renton resident, and my last name is spelled B-R-O-S-M-A-N. I had the privilege in the late 90s and early 2001 to serve on the Renton City Planning Commission as member and then as chair. And I thank you for that, by the way. And our obligation, our privilege was to plan long-term for the city of Renton. We didn't look at a building project, we didn't look at signage, we didn't look at street standards, we didn't look at anything except with a long-term good of Renton city residents aspect. And in the same manner, I would ask you to consider keeping the Cedar River Library, the entrance where it is, and also keeping the square footage where it is for the long-term good of the city. And if we say that we're not in the business of approving or rejecting libraries, well, really, all of us at any level of city government, I'm not in city government now, but you folks in city government, it's your privilege to approve or disapprove part of the KCLS project. You do have an obligation, you do have an opportunity to input into that project. So if we say we're not in the Renton City Library business, I don't believe that's true. I believe we're in any business of the city that is in the city limits, be it transportation, be it libraries, be it landing, development, or whatever. So I appreciate you for that reason. One more thing too, just on another issue, as the tolling on 520 and maybe on I-90 comes into being, there are going to be impacts, and this also regards maybe some comprehensive plan adjustments too. There are going to be impacts on 900, 167, 405, and that presents transportation challenges, but it also presents business opportunities. If more people come to those thoroughfares, then businesses can maybe increase in existing there and flourishing there. But I would also ask you if you have any impact on regional transportation to deter tolling as much as you can. We in the city of Renton didn't plan our highways, 900 included. We didn't plan our highways to be bypasses for 90 and 520, I don't believe. And I don't think we ever would do that. Anyway, thank you for your time and good job on your work.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Person.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Been moved by Mr. Person, seconded by Mr. Prince. So we adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned.
So why can't everyone ask for things that make our neighborhoods healthier? Find out how you can help at letsdothiskingcounty.org. Let's do this! Hi, I'm Mia.